Rejected for being too fat, this 17-year-old girl discovered an incredible life-changing moment. Emily Thompson stood backstage, her heart racing as she waited for her turn to audition for the state dance team. The spotlight seemed to beckon her, its warm glow offering a promise of dreams transformed into reality. Dance had been her life's rhythm, a melody that played in the background of her small Midwestern town, where everyone knew each other, even if they were only secrets wrapped in whispered judgments. She closed her eyes, envisioning herself gliding gracefully through the air, a picture of freedom and beauty. But when the words came, they struck her like a thunderclap. "We're sorry, but you're too fat for this team." The biting pronouncement echoed in her mind, piercing her heart with a coldness that froze her in place. Crushed beneath the weight of public rejection, her world tilted sideways, revealing the stark and painful realities of a society built upon harsh standards. Tears pooled in her eyes, blurring the faces of her friends and coaches who could only watch, aghast at the cruelty of it all. That evening, as Emily sat on her bed, the familiar scent of her mother's lavender fabric softener filled the room, and the ache in her chest grew unbearable. Gathering her courage, she knocked on her mother's door and stepped inside. "Mom, I didn't make the team." Her voice wavered, thin and broken like the last remnants of sunlight slipping below the horizon. Her mother, strong and warm, instinctively pulled Emily into her arms. "Oh, sweetheart," she whispered, her voice thick with empathy. "I remember when I faced my own rejections growing up. It can feel like the world is telling you who you should be. But looking back, those moments shaped me. They taught me resilience." Emily listened, her heart softening to her mother's tales of standing up against harsh words that were supposed to define her, but never did. Something within her stirred, igniting a flicker of determination. What if she refused to let this define her? What if she used the hurt instead? Days turned into weeks, and with the gentle guidance of a thoughtful dance instructor at the community center, Emily poured herself into the art. Every movement came alive as she transformed pain into rhythm. Her friends rallied behind her, offering support and endless encouragement. Together they shared laughter, late-night rehearsals, and the exhilaration of finding beauty in every imperfect step. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. The regional dance showcase approached, and with every bead of sweat, Emily felt herself growing stronger. But as she performed, the judges remained unmoved, their expressions blank as if they were stone. Once again, rejection gnawed at her spirit. Could she never escape their judgments? Just when Emily believed she was at rock bottom, a local dance veteran appeared, her eyes sparkling with wisdom and warmth. "You have a fire," she said, gesturing animatedly. "I can see it. Join me for this community performance focused on body positivity. It's time to show the world what true beauty is." As Emily processed the woman's words, her heart raced with uncertainty and hope. Could this be the moment she seized to reclaim her story? Doubts lingered, but in her chest, a newfound fire ignited. With the spotlight shining brighter than ever, Emily stood on the threshold of transformation, ready to dance not just for herself, but for everyone who had ever felt overlooked. Would she find the courage to embrace her true self and inspire change in her town? The journey was only just beginning. Emily's heart pounded as she stood in front of the community center, its doors looming like a portal to a new life. The invitation from the dance veteran still echoed in her mind. Show the world what true beauty is. Could she truly do that? She inhaled deeply, steadying herself. Today was different. Today, she wasn't there to prove anything to the judges. She was there to express herself, to find freedom in her movements. The dance studio was buzzing when she stepped inside, filled with a diverse group of dancers, all eager to support the message of body positivity. When the instructor clapped her hands for attention, the chatter faded. "Let us start with a warm-up," she called, her energy undeterred by the weight of societal standards. Emily joined in, stretching her body to the rhythm of vibrant music. As the beats pulsed through the room, her worries began to melt away. Here, everyone seemed to share a common goal, to celebrate every shape and size. She felt a sense of belonging wash over her, a stark contrast to the rejection she had faced before. As the rehearsal progressed, Emily discovered something profound. She was not just dancing. She was reclaiming her love for it. Each move felt liberating, energizing. The dancers around her laughed and encouraged one another, their camaraderie soaring higher than any performance. Emily couldn't help but smile, her heart swelling with hope. Still, shadows of the past lingered. During lunch breaks, whispers of self-doubt crept back in. Am I really enough? What if I mess up? But then, she would see the older dancers, larger than any unrealistic magazine cover, showcasing their skills with poise and charm. Their confidence spoke volumes, leaving her awestruck and inspired. They weren't just dancers, they were warriors in their own right, proving that talent is forged not in perfection, but in authenticity. Weeks turned into a whirlwind of preparations, and Emily poured every ounce of her passion into this performance. But the closer they got to showcase night, the more anxiety twisted in her stomach. The fear of failure felt suffocating. On the eve of the performance, she found herself in front of the mirror, practicing her moves alone in her room. What if? But then she remembered her mother's words. She had told her that resilience is born from hardship. I am more than what they see, Emily whispered to herself, feeling a spark of reassurance. As she closed her eyes, she could envision the faces she wanted to inspire, young girls struggling with their own self-image, longing for reassurance that they were enough just as they were. That vision anchored her, grounding her confidence. On the night of the showcase, the auditorium filled with an electric buzz of excitement and anticipation. Emily's heart raced, but she stood tall, ready to embrace the moment. When her name was called, she took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage, the spotlight illuminating her figure. The audience fell silent, every gaze trained on her. But as the music began, only one thought resonated in her mind. This was her statement, her raw expression of beauty. Each step, each twist and turn radiated her spirit. She danced not just for herself, but for every girl who had ever felt the pang of self-doubt. She felt powerful, and with every spin, she cast off the shackles of judgment. But as she poured herself into the performance, she caught sight of a familiar face in the audience, someone she never expected to see there. Her heart skipped a beat. Would this unexpected presence shatter her newfound confidence? What would happen next? Emily's breath caught in her throat as she recognized the face staring back at her from the audience. It was Mia, her old friend from school, who had once mocked her at lunch, whispering behind cupped hands about Emily's body, about how she just didn't fit into the standards everyone seemed to uphold. For a brief moment, Emily felt a flush of panic. Memories of the hurt, of feeling shunned, swirled in her mind like a storm. But then, the music swelled around her, and the beat pulsed through her veins. It filled the space of doubt, urging her to shift her focus back to the stage, to the other dancers, and to the message she wanted to share. With a deep breath, she squared her shoulders and grounded herself. The lights felt warm, wrapping around her like a comforting embrace. She lifted her chin, embracing the fear with every movement that followed. She danced fiercely, allowing the energy from the crowd to boost her spirit. She saw smiles, heard gasps of admiration, and felt a swell of connection, a collective lifting that transcended the tangible. As she turned, she caught a glimpse of Mia again. The look on her face was inscrutable, a mixture of surprise, curiosity, and perhaps regret. In that moment, Emily didn't just dance for the audience. She danced for herself, for the little girl who had once felt so small and invisible. In the middle of her routine, the dance shifted from powerful spins to gentle flows, embodying vulnerability as she pulled the audience into her narrative. Each step told a story of resilience, the kind of story that couldn't be judged by size or shape. With every twirl, she reminded herself that she was not defined by anyone's expectations. And as she leapt into the final pose, a bold extension of her arms, inviting the world to embrace her, she noticed a ripple of applause building throughout the auditorium. They stood for her. They believed in her. Her chest expanded with pride, and for the first time, She felt whole. As the final note faded, Emily stood still and cocooned in the moment, breathless but beaming, heart dancing along. The world around her blurred, time suspended as adrenaline coursed through her veins. The audience erupted into applause, their cheers ringing like an anthem, and there was Mia, standing with tears glistening in her eyes. Then, she caught sight of her fellow dancers, their faces lighting up with joy, reflecting the triumph they had all shared during this journey. It hit Emily then, the realization that dance was not just art. It was a bridge connecting hearts and stories across different paths. She stepped off the stage, still riding the high of the performance, and craved the personal connection with Mia. Emily made her way to the rows of seats, searching for her. She spotted her, vulnerable, biting her lip as if holding back an apology. Before she could second-guess herself, she approached. "Hey, Mia," Emily said, her voice steady despite the anxiety bubbling within her. But Mia interrupted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm so sorry for how I treated you back then." The floodgates of their past stood open, ready to be addressed, and Emily's heart raced. A part of her wanted to accept the apology, hug it out right there, but another part reminded her of the pain those words had caused. She hesitated, her eyes searching Mia's, wondering if this moment could forge a new beginning or if it would just open old wounds. What would she choose? Emily's heart beat in her chest like a drum, the sound echoing in her ears. She looked into Mia's eyes, searching for a trace of sincerity. The years of hurt flashed through her mind, forming a tangled web of confusion. Could there really be room for forgiveness? Or was this merely a momentary lapse in a much larger narrative? "Thank you for saying that," Emily finally replied, her voice steadying. "But it hurt me, Mia. It hurt a lot." Mia's expression shifted, the guilt evident. "I can't even imagine how much. I was awful to you. I thought you were weak. But I see you now. You've changed. You're incredible." In that moment, the uncertainty between them seemed to shift. Emily felt the weight of the past tugging at her, but the intensity of Mia's gaze and the lingering warmth from her performance made her wish to let some of that weight go. "She's not weak, Mia. She's a warrior," came a voice from behind Emily. It was Jenna, one of her fellow dancers, and she had stepped forward, arms crossed, a protective expression on her face. Emily's heart warmed at the support. Mia shifted uncomfortably, caught between Emily's newfound strength and Jenna's fierce loyalty. "I know what I did back then. It was wrong. I can't change it, but I wish I could. I just didn't understand." "Understanding doesn't erase the pain you caused," Jenna replied, her tone firm but not unkind. "But if Emily is willing to give you a chance, maybe you can start by making amends. Authentic ones." Emily felt caught in the middle of this conversation, wanting to make her choice without anyone else's influence. She took a breath, clarity washing over her. "Maybe it starts with honesty," she offered. "What did you think when you saw me dance? Did it change how you feel about me?" Mia turned thoughtful. "I felt inspired. You danced like you were free. I wanted to know how you could let go of everything and just be yourself. I've struggled with my own image, my own limitations. Watching you, it hit me harder than I expected." Soft gasps from nearby audience members turned into whispers of encouragement. Emily smiled gently, her heart softening. "We all struggle, Mia. That's life. I want to find a way forward. Maybe we both need to work on being ourselves, together." Again, the room fell silent, each person frozen in their seats, waiting to see what would happen. Emily could feel a shift taking place, a possibility, an opening for something new. Mia reached out a hand, and Emily saw the hopeful glimmer in her eyes. "I want to make this right. Will you let me?" Emily hesitated, her heart racing anew. The memories swirled again, but rather than fear, this time they fueled courage. She grasped Mia's hand, sensing the warmth already thawing the icy walls built around her heart. "Okay," Emily said softly, feeling the power of this choice. "But I need time. And honesty." As a round of applause erupted once more, the spark of a new beginning flickered between them. Just then, Jenna whispered, "What if this is your chance to change everything, Emily?" The question hung in the air, leaving Emily wondering how deeply this decision could reach into their futures. What new paths lay ahead for them both? Emily's fingers lingered on Mia's hand, a spark igniting in the quiet space between them. The applause from the audience faded into the background as the weight of their moment loomed larger than the performance that had just ended. For the first time in years, she felt a sliver of hope. Can we start fresh? Mia's voice was softer now, almost a whisper. The sincerity in her tone wrapped around Emily, igniting memories of laughter and friendship that felt distant yet cherished. Fresh might be a bit optimistic, Jenna chimed in, her arms still crossed but a hint of a smile on her lips. But maybe reconsidering where we've all come from is a good start. Emily nodded, the thought dancing through her mind. We can try, she replied slowly, unsure of what this new beginning would look like. What does that even mean? Mia bit her lip, searching for the right words. It means I want to understand you, help you find your voice. You found yours in dance, but I missed that when it mattered. I want to be a part of that journey, if you'll let me. The crowd around them started to disperse, but it felt like the world had shrunk to just the three of them. I always admired your technique, you know? Emily said, a little surprised at her own honesty. Just saying it felt liberating, as if casting off heavy chains. You were the best dancer in school. Mia's eyes brightened. Really? I struggled too. I thought winning competitions defined me. It pushed me to be something I wasn't. Then we can support each other, Jenna interjected. You both have talents that can grow even more. Just remember, vulnerability isn't weakness. Emily felt a knot in her throat. I've spent so long trying to fit into everyone else's image of who I should be. It's exhausting. Mia nodded, the corners of her mouth lifting in understanding. I know this is just the beginning, but let us make a pact. No comparing ourselves to each other. Just being ourselves. No expectations. Agreed, Jenna said, enthusiasm burning in her voice. Let us create something real, and maybe inspire others along the way. Emily swallowed hard, a rush of warmth swelling in her chest. That was the kind of future she wanted to step into, one filled with authenticity. So how do we do this? Mia grinned, her blue eyes sparkling. How about we meet once a week? Dance, share struggles, laugh. We can keep each other accountable. And no drama. Jenna added, leading with her finger in the air like a point of principle. Let us just be friends. The three of them shared a light-hearted laugh, a stretch of relief weaving through the air. So it's settled then? Emily asked, a smile creeping on her face. Definitely, Mia said, squeezing Emily's hand before letting go. As they parted ways just a few moments later, Emily couldn't help but look back, excitement bubbling within her. She had taken a huge step, but beneath it all, a nagging question remained. Would this new friendship truly stand the test of time? As she stepped out into the crisp night air, a mix of anxiety and anticipation filled her. She had a new beginning, but could she trust the journey? What if the changes ahead were more challenging than she anticipated? Under the glittering stars, the potential of tomorrow loomed large, and Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this was merely the first chapter of a much more significant story waiting to unfold. Would she have the strength to face it all? The next few days passed in a blur of anticipation. Emily felt a spark igniting within her, a fire that had been dormant for so long, and she was terrified of how bright it might burn. Each evening, she found herself running through her head what it would be like to meet Mia and Jenna again. What would they create together? Finally, the day of their first gathering arrived. Emily stood in front of her mirror, fiddling nervously with her hair. Was it too much? Too little? She settled for something simple, just enough to feel like herself. She pulled on a favorite dance top and leggings, hoping they'd serve as a reminder of who she wanted to be. When she arrived at the studio, the music was already playing, a slow, rhythmic melody that struck a chord deep within her. Mia was warming up, her movements fluid and inviting. Jenna was in the corner, stretching, an eager smile plastered across her face upon seeing Emily. The excitement in the room was palpable. Hey, you made it, Mia called, her voice brightening the space even more than the sunlight streaming in through the large windows. Of course. Wouldn't he miss it? Emily laughed, though her heart raced. She could feel their eyes on her, searching for signs of growth, of change. Let us just dance, Mia suggested. No pressure. Just feel it. Emily found her place among them, and as the three began to move together, she could feel the profound sense of liberation in the air. They weren't perfect. They didn't need to be. Together, they were simply present, lost in rhythm. As the hours rolled by, laughter broke out between stretches and poses. Mia shared her ongoing struggle with confidence, revealing how she sometimes felt like a fraud despite her accolades. Jenna confessed to her fear of disappointing her family, sharing how the pressure often felt suffocating. With each story, Emily's heart ached. These were layers she never expected to peel back so quickly. Why do we do this to ourselves? Emily pondered aloud, sitting cross-legged on the floor, the coolness of the wood grounding her. Why can't we embrace just being? Because the world tells us we're not enough, Jenna replied softly. But that has to change, right? Emily felt an overwhelming surge of emotion. It does. It's exhausting pretending to be something we're not. As the words left her lips, it dawned on her this was more than just a dance group. This was healing. This was vulnerability. Let us promise to help each other embrace our true selves, Mia proposed, her eyes earnest and passionate. No room for judgment here. Absolutely. Jenna chimed, clapping her hands together softly. They each took turns sharing what acceptance looked like to them, and the raw honesty deepened their bond. But even amidst the joy, Emily couldn't shake the tiny voice in her head that whispered doubt. Would they hold each other accountable? Would their truths touch the core of who they were? Or would this simply be another fleeting moment? As they finished their last routine, Emily's heart felt light. She saw Mia and Jenna's smiles illuminated with hope. It was enchanting, but fleeting. Next week, same time? Mia asked, glancing from one to the other, her excitement still brimming. Definitely, Emily said, feeling the warmth spread through her veins. As she stepped outside, the cool air nipped at her nose, but she felt invigorated. The world seemed brighter. But just as she began to walk home, a shadow of doubt flickered in her mind. Was this really the start of something lasting? Could she trust these new roots to grow? With these thoughts swirling, Emily felt the edges of her joy fray, lost in the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Would this connection withstand the tests of time and trials that inevitably came? The following week felt both like a breath and a burden, a stretch of time filled with hope, but also shadowed by uncertainty. When Emily walked into the studio that day, the first signs of spring were evident outside. Sunshine filtered in, wrapping the room in warmth and light. Her heart raced as she spotted Mia and Jenna already there, chatting animatedly. Hey, ready to move? Mia grinned, her energy infectious. It felt good to hear their laughter. Emily joined in, but as they began to warm up together, a knot formed in her stomach. What if today was the day that everything changed? Or worse, what if it didn't? As the music flowed, they lost themselves in the rhythm, the familiar choreography grounding them in the moment. But today, even the beats couldn't drown out the doubts creeping in. Emily looked at her friends, their bodies moving with joyous fluidity, and felt a momentary pang of envy. She glanced at her reflection in the wall of mirrors, the way her legs felt heavier, her movements less free. Let us try something new today, Jenna suggested suddenly, interrupting the routine. How about we create our own piece? Just for us? The idea hung in the air, both thrilling and terrifying. What if it's terrible? Emily blurted out, the words escaping before she could stop them. It won't be, Jenna fired back, determination unwavering in her voice. And besides, it's ours to create. It doesn't need to be perfect. Mia placed a reassuring hand on Emily's shoulder. We're in this together. Remember our pact? As Emily looked into Mia's eyes, she felt a flicker of something warm ignite. Not just trust, but a sense of security. But then came the wave of anxiety crashing over her. What if they didn't like what she had to offer? What if they were judging her the way she judged herself? As they began to brainstorm, Emily fought to silence her inner critic. Tentatively at first, she shared ideas, combining movements that made her feel free with those that made her feel strong. A step back, a leap forward, a moment to pause and breathe. Each contribution seemed to release a little bit of her pent-up fear. Time melted away, and soon they were lost in their creation. When Jenna threw her arms wide, Emily couldn't help but mirror the motion, wrapping her hands around the exhilarating energy in the room. We're feeling it, Mia exclaimed, her excitement bubbling over. With each drafting of movement, Emily felt her fierceness build. Maybe this would be about more than just dance. Maybe they were weaving threads of their stories into something bigger than themselves. As the music dipped to a slower beat, they paused. Breathless, they looked at one another, their faces flushed with exhilaration. "This is it," Jenna said, her eyes sparkling. "I can't believe we were so scared." Tension hung in the air, but it wasn't born of fear anymore. It was anticipation. What if we perform this at our showcase?" Mia suggested, her voice barely above a whisper, but the idea reverberated in the room, igniting a blend of excitement and dread. Emily's heart raced at the thought. What if no one likes it? She stammered, her insecurities resurfacing like a dark tide. "But what if they love it?" Jenna countered, her face beaming. "What if we inspire someone else?" In that moment, a powerful realization washed over Emily. She wasn't alone in this struggle. They were all fighting the fear of judgment and inadequacy. That collective vulnerability held a strength that nothing else could match. As they finished their improvisation, Emily felt a part of something greater. It was like stitching together pieces of themselves to create something beautiful. But as the music faded and reality crept back in, another thought lingered. What if they couldn't pull it off? With those thoughts weighing on her heart, Emily wondered if they had gone too far too fast. Would their newfound bond withstand the scrutiny of others? Would it all come crashing down? Emboldened but uncertain, she caught Mia's eye and knew they shared the same question. What awaited them next was a realm uncharted, but one they were willing to explore together. And as they stepped into the warmth of the afternoon sun, the air heavy with clouds of doubt, yet bursting with possibility, Emily took one last look at her friends. Were they ready for what lay ahead? Would their dreams of acceptance and belonging unfold as beautifully as their dance? The next few days flew by in a blur of rehearsals and laughter. Each session in the studio felt like diving into a sea of possibility. Emily, Mia, and Jenna poured their energy into the choreography, shaping their fears into fluid movements. They encouraged each other, falling more into their rhythm both as dancers and as friends. But as the showcase date approached, a nagging anxiety hung over Emily. It was one thing to improvise in the studio, but another to perform in front of an audience. What if they stumbled? What if their piece missed the mark? She shoved those thoughts aside, forcing herself to focus on the joy of creation. One afternoon, the trio stood in front of the mirrors, sweat glistening on their brows as they reviewed the piece. Jenna twirled, placing her palms out to the world, radiating confidence. Mia followed suit, her energy infectious, and yet Emily lingered behind, hesitating. "Emily, what's wrong?" Mia asked, her brow furrowing. "I don't know." Emily sighed. What if I mess up? What if everyone sees me, really sees me?" Jenna stepped closer. "And what if they love what they see? This isn't just about the dance. It's about sharing our story. It's about being real." Emily nodded, her heart pounding. But deep down, doubt gnawed at her. She wondered if what she had to offer was valuable at all. That night, Emily sat on her bed, scrolling through social media. Countless images of perfect bodies scrolled past, and she felt a heavy weight in her chest. The photos mocked her insecurities, and she found herself questioning her worth. Suddenly, her phone buzzed a message from Mia. "Hey, let us meet up and do a little dance practice together tomorrow. Just us. No pressure." Emily smiled despite herself. Maybe this was the comfort she needed. The next day, they gathered in Emily's living room, the warm afternoon light pouring through the windows. They started dancing, laughter and movement mixing in the air. Just on the cusp of losing herself in the rhythm, Emily felt her feet slow. "Let us try something different," she said, closing her eyes. "Let us dance like no one is watching." With that, they let their bodies move freely, uninhibited by the confines of choreography. Each leap and swirl expressed their vulnerability, their laughter echoing through the house. In that moment, Emily felt weightless, free from expectation. After a few songs, they collapsed onto the floor, breathless and happy. Why are we so hard on ourselves? Emily pondered aloud. Mia shrugged, smiling. Because we care. But we must remember our story matters. It isn't about how we look. It's about the joy we bring. Emily considered those words, a spark igniting inside her. That evening, Jenna sent a video of their earlier practice. Watching it, Emily couldn't help but feel proud. They were all imperfect, yet their movements were beautiful. But the closer the showcase loomed, the more the doubts began to resurface. That gnawing feeling returned, whispering fears that everything could go wrong. "Everything feels like it's building to something," she shared with her friends the next day, her voice thick with fear. Jenna took her hands. Steady. We'll face it together. Remember, the fear makes us brave. It reminds us we're human. With that, Emily's heart swelled. They had come this far, intertwined by a bond of shared truth and acceptance. But as she watched the weeks slip away on the calendar, she couldn't help but wonder, could they truly shine on that stage? The next day would reveal the truth, and the weight of possibility hung heavy in the air. Would they rise to the occasion, or would doubt silence their voices? Emily knew one thing for sure. It was time to face whatever lay ahead together. The day of the showcase had finally arrived. Emily stood in front of the mirror, her hands trembling as she adjusted the waistband of her costume. The glittering fabric was both exciting and suffocating. This was it. There was no escaping now. The familiar rhythm of her heart raced, mirroring the buzzing energy of the room filled with dancers warming up, friends laughing, and nervous parents chatting away in the background. With each passing minute, a cacophony of emotions swirled within her: anticipation, anxiety, and a flicker of excitement. She caught Jenna's eye across the room, and they shared a silent nod, a bond of understanding and reassurance. Mia was busy stretching, her focus sharp. It was a reminder that they were in this together, yet the shadows of fear still clung to Emily, whispering doubts in her ear. "Are you ready?" Jenna asked, stepping closer, her voice a gentle anchor in the chaos around them. "I don't know," Emily admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if I blink out? Or what if I trip?" "Then you trip," Mia chimed in, brightening the air. "And you keep going. Remember what we practiced. Just let the music move you." They huddled in a circle, joining hands. "We can do this," they said together, voices rising in unison. As they made their way backstage, the lights pulsed with the distant sounds of the audience settling in. A deep inhale filled Emily's lungs as she took in the electric atmosphere. The soft thuds of the bass reverberated through the walls, inviting her fears to dance along. Jenna squeezed her hand, giving her the silent strength she needed. Finally, it was their turn. As they stepped onto the stage, the bright lights momentarily blinded Emily. But as the music swelled, she closed her eyes, seeking the familiar rhythms. The first beat electrified her body, pulling her into the moment. She started to move, letting the dance awaken something deep within her. Their choreography began flowing, each step becoming lighter, each leap soaring higher. Emily let her worries fade into the beats. She felt the warmth of their shared energy radiating off of Mia and Jenna. This was a story only they could tell, a celebration of who they were and all they had overcome. But just as the music climbed to a crescendo, Emily's mind flickered to the audience. Would they judge? Would they laugh? She faltered, her breath catching as doubt threatened to pull her under. And then, she heard Mia's voice, piercing through the noise. "You've got this, Em." It ignited a spark within her. In that instant, the weight lifted. She regained her footing, found her rhythm, and poured every ounce of her heart into the dance. As if by instinct, she let go of her fears, allowing her essence to shine through each movement. The audience erupted into applause as they finished, their performance a whirlwind of raw emotion and shared strength. Breathless and wide-eyed, the trio knew they had shared something profound. They had exposed their vulnerabilities and transformed it into beauty. But as they bowed, an unexpected wave of vulnerability washed over Emily again. What awaited them beyond the stage? Whispers of self-doubt loomed on the horizon. Had they truly made an impact? Had they changed the narrative? As they exited the spotlight, her heart raced, a mixture of exhilaration and uncertainty swelling within her. Emily turned to her friends, yet the question lingered in the air, unspoken but palpable. Would they take the leap into their next journey, or would they let the criticisms of an unforgiving world drown them? With a hesitant smile, she stepped into the shadows, ready for the answer that awaited. Each heartbeat echoed the same thought. This was just the beginning. The minutes following their performance felt like a lifetime. Emily, Mia, and Jenna huddled backstage, laughter bubbling over in the euphoric aftermath of their dance. Heartbeats slowly calmed as the cheers of the audience faded into muffled echoes. "I can't believe we did that," Mia exclaimed, her eyes shining with excitement. "We were amazing, right?" Jenna chimed in, her smile beaming as brightly as the stage lights that had just lit them up. "I felt free, really free." But beneath the surface of their high, Emily could still feel the weight of uncertainty. But will they accept us? She asked, her voice trembling slightly. Do you think we made an impact? Mia reached out, grabbing her hand tightly. Of course. You danced from your heart. The audience felt that, she said firmly. What we shared was so much more than just dance. It was our truth. Yeah, Jenna added, her fire igniting once more. Forget the doubters. We're rewriting our narratives. It's not about them. It's about us. Emily's heart swelled. She had faced her fears, danced through the shadows of self-doubt, and emerged on the other side. This wasn't just a performance. It was a celebration of their shared struggles and resilience. But the real test lay ahead, she realized. The auditorium doors opened, and waves of familiar faces flooded in. Family, friends, and even some who had once cast doubts now gathered around, eyes sparkling with admiration. Emily felt the rush of warmth spread through her. She watched as her mother pushed through the crowd, pride bursting from every corner of her smile. Emily, you were phenomenal. I'm so proud of you, her mother exclaimed, pulling Emily into a tight embrace. Suddenly, Mia spotted someone. Look, it's Mia. She pointed, and Emily turned to see her old classmates, including those who had once laughed at her. At first, she froze, fear gripping her, but then she noticed their expressions. They wore smiles, even awe, and she felt a flicker of surprise. Had their words finally shifted? Then, Mia stepped forward, her voice rising above the collective buzz. Hey everyone, thank you for coming. We wanted to dance not just for the performance, but to show you all that beauty comes in every shape and size. The crowd broke into applause, and Emily's heart soared. It was a shared celebration of authenticity and acceptance. Their message was reaching hearts. I've been holding on to doubt for so long, Emily said, her voice steady now. But I've realized that we can be imperfect and still be beautiful. We just have to be brave enough to be ourselves. The crowd erupted again, and it felt like a blanket of warmth wrapping around her. Jenna stepped in with her radiant grin. This isn't just a dance. It's the start of something bigger. A journey of acceptance and a challenge to embrace our true selves. As they spoke, Emily could see in the crowd young girls listening intently, eyes wide with wonder. She felt a surge of purpose wash over her. This was why she had pushed through the rejection, why she'd fought for her place in a world full of expectations. One by one, former classmates approached them with words of admiration and regret. No longer were they shy whispers behind closed doors. Instead, they expressed genuine respects, some even asking about joining in future classes emphasizing body positivity and dance. Emily shared hesitant smiles, warmed by the realization that change was possible, and in that moment, she could see that her own transformation was rippling through her community. What began with a rejection had morphed into an awakening, shining bright like the spotlight they had stepped into. Later that evening, as they gathered on a park bench under the starry sky, Emily looked at her friends. In their eyes, she saw old vulnerabilities but also new hope. Can you believe this? Jenna asked, her voice bubbling with excitement. Look at where we are. Just a few months ago, we were afraid to even dance together outside of practice. Right? Mia added with a laugh. We've transformed so much since then. Emily smiled, feeling gratitude wash over her. It's not just us anymore. We've begun something that can help others find their own truth. The three friends locked hands, a silent promise echoed between them, to continue their journey of authenticity, to inspire change, and to stand by one another through every trial to come. As they watched the stars shimmer overhead, Emily felt an overwhelming sense of peace settle in her heart. They had faced the darkness together and emerged into a light that shone not just for themselves, but for everyone who had ever felt small or alone. Turning to her friends, she whispered, "This is just the beginning. Let us keep dancing." And as they laughed and began to sway beneath those stars, Emily knew deep in her heart that they were no longer bound by doubt. Instead, they were stepping boldly into a brighter and more hopeful future. It was time to truly embrace what lay ahead together. Now, if you felt inspired by Emily's journey, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will uplift and empower you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the positivity flowing. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this beautiful transformation. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible journey of acceptance and friendship. Let us spread the love and inspiration.